Alrighty, so I'm with one of my great clients here, John, and John is a financial advisor at one of the big wealth management firms in the U.S. He joined us as a trainee, actually, and right around COVID time when COVID hit, and John right now is averaging 10 appointments per month with qualified leads. So every single lead completely virtual, booked with 10 appointments per month, qualified leads. And more importantly, he's helping IT professionals and software engineers that fit right in the bracket of what he would consider ideal clients using our SLS framework. And some solid deals closed so far. We're looking at a 2022 on off at a strong start, right? Building that pipeline year end for a strong start in 2022. Obviously, you know how how psychology works. A lot of people want to talk after the new year, so I'm sure you have a massive pipeline coming along. You have some whale prospects in there. We can talk all about that in just a second. John, please go ahead and introduce yourself. I did enough talking, I feel like.
Yeah, of course. I'm John, and everything that Bilal said was true. I started off with Luck Sales. Very early on in my career, I was looking for some new ways to start driving leads, driving appointments. As a new person, wasn't able to do networking, wasn't able to, I don't even know, go door to door, any of those things that might have been how people built their practices in the past. So when they reached out about their coach and everything, that's sort of what got me into the program.
Yep. And for you, like as a like even when we initially reached out to you, you were still a trainee. You still couldn't even onboard new clients. But tell me more about the feeling you had going into finally getting new clients. Like what, like we talk a lot at Lux, at least we talk a lot about the lack of um, confidence and in new professionals coming into the industry because the lack of good sales training. And so how did you feel even like growing your book of business when you look at some of the giants perhaps at your firm, the leaders, you look at how they built their book and you're like, how the hell am I supposed to do that now? I mean, tell me more about that feeling, I guess, before joining the SLS framework.
Yeah, sure. I can elaborate on that. I guess I always felt confident in the aspect of financial advising that is the appointments. Once I'm talking to someone, helping them through their situation, they have all these questions, helping them consolidate their assets, make investment decisions. Felt great about that. It's just like, how do I get people in chairs? How do I get people on Zoom calls with me? That was the daunting task in the beginning, and it still is today. And that's mostly for every financial advisor, right? How they feel. And so that's what I felt in the beginning, and then especially sort of like you mentioned, just starting from scratch, starting from nothing. I was like, where am I going to go? I need to start driving people. I need to have other ways to get people in chairs that aren't just my friends and family, right? That wasn't going to be a sustainable way to grow my practice at the rate I wanted to. So that was sort of how I was feeling at the beginning. Just very daunting, very much, where do I start? Where am I going to get people who are qualified, who actually want to talk to me, to start talking to me so that there can be a value, add both ways.
Yeah.
That was sort of the big challenge in the beginning, which I think that's a big challenge for everybody in this industry, especially starting out. So.
Yeah. And then, after joining the SLS framework, we're able to define a niche in which you can actually only work with ideal clients, right? We're not necessarily relying on referrals anymore. It's completely cold leads, but you're getting now 10 appointments per month with ideal prospects who are, again, IT and software. And whether you're busy with a potential project on the side that showed up, just like you said, you had a moment where you were onboarding clients from another book, something along those lines. You still had conversations flowing in from prospects. You were still engaging with prospects in your niche, with ideal prospects, so you can still have virtual appointments being scheduled. Now, I want to dive deeper into kind of that feeling now. Like, how much more kind of confident do you feel in growing your book of business and kind of the next years? We're talking, the next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, as a financial advisor. How much more confident do you feel about your pipeline and that growth, having that niche figured out and having an automated system that can not only generate new conversations with IT professionals and software engineers, but get you those that do answer qualified prospects on your calendar? How is that kind of new dynamic that you finally have that kind of you didn't realize existed before?
Yeah, I can elaborate on that part, I guess. So Yeah, I mean, it's been really helpful, especially just the niching down, right? Because I came from a position, and I sort of spoke to Ramsey about this in the beginning, where I was doing a lot of the same things that Lux was in the SLS framework, right? I was trying to do that on my own before. I was trying to drive leads in a similar way, and it was just so much less efficient, and it wasn't really working. I was putting in way more time and getting way less results. And so that's when, when I finally took the leap and said, hey, I want to do this, niche down all of the, follow the systems, follow the things that I was coached to do. It was less effort and less time for more results and more booked appointments and things like that. So that's been the biggest takeaway, is just sort of like you said, I'm able to spend less time now. I'm able to spend time on the clients that I currently have, and still be just, driving those appointments consistently. And especially like you spoke to, right? I sort of viewed it as a process. I wasn't expecting to close, 20 deals in my first few months right after, doing the program. Right? I viewed it as a long-term philosophy. I want to be in this business for decades. So it's not really important to me how many people I've closed in the first 2 months. It's the first 2 years is what I want. And especially now, just looking at my pipeline, looking at, the people who have been added to my pipeline the past few months, and then even going back to the start of the program, it's all just starting. I can see it compounding, right? I can see relationships starting to be built, people coming back to me on top of the leads I'm generating right now. So that's what makes me really optimistic for, the upcoming year and going forward, that all of that's just sort of working behind the scenes in addition to what I'm currently doing and spending my time on.
Yep. And I think that's good that you mentioned that, because and that is true. When you really think about it, for as much as this is important for us, for you to make your money back, ROI, we want you to close deals, obviously. But even then, the value add, which is like, how do I go from the old ways to the new ways, which is a virtual structure, for the most part automated, to get in front of ideal prospects. And even then, just like you said,
Right.
like, even if I just have that, that's like like way above anything that's currently in industry. Because again, if you refer back to when you started, you're confident about your advisory skill, you're a good advisor, but not necessarily in kind of your sales processes as a financial advisor. And
Right.
I mean, I think that just that, the value add of how do I become a virtual financial advisor, meaning I can conduct business virtually, not have to travel 30 minutes to 60 minutes to see a prospect, sit down another 30, 60 over a cup of coffee, and then drive back. We're kind of shaving a lot of time as well. So much value add. And I'm just happy to hear as well that, you're closing deals right now. You have that pipeline built up for 2022. And I mean, how did it feel as well, I guess, doing your business completely virtual, right? Compared to kind of the traditional ways, kind of meeting in person, all of that. I mean, do you feel like it was a good fit for you? Like, now you're completely virtual, honestly, that's all your appointments are over the phone or on Zoom?
Yeah, it definitely is. It's definitely worked out, as far as people are way more comfortable and receptive after the pandemic. So it was sort of a perfect storm, right? Of everyone just in the past couple of years. Maybe some people used to be hesitant about meeting their financial advisor face to face, and it was advising was really done only face to face or over the phone, and that was it, right? It's either you come into the office. If you moved out of state, well, we'll talk on the phone a couple times a year. That's how relationships are built, right? That's how it's been in the industry for decades. But now everybody's sort of shifted, and it's like, well, if I can work from home, why can't I just talk to my financial advisor on Zoom and get things done that way? And of course, I'm super comfortable with the Zoom platform and everything like that. So it's been really easy. It's been time efficient for both me and for the clients that I've taken on, the people that I'm prospecting. Makes it easier to set an appointment virtually sometimes, right? And say, hey, let's just hop on this Zoom and get to know each other, instead of, hey, drive 45 minutes to my office and let's get to know each other. I think there's been a little bit more receptiveness from people in some ways. And of course, I do still like to meet people face to face. I still am, having lots of appointments and taking on prospects and clients within, an hour radius of my office and things like that. So I do like to meet people face to face, and I still do, in-person appointments, but it's absolutely not necessary. It's absolutely up to the prospect and what they want. And so it just has made it that whole realm of flexibility, and the bottom line is making it easier for those people to engage with me and get to know each other, which it's definitely done. So.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing that with me, John. And I guess one last question here is, what would you say to someone who's on the edge of joining the SLS framework? I guess, looking back a year ago or six months ago, you as a trainee, what would you say to another trainee who's on the edge of joining the SLS framework, or even someone who's a bit more successful?
Yeah, for sure. I'm big into, I guess, personal self-help books and things like that. Maybe not even self-help you call them, right? But business podcasts, business, those types of things. And I just always heard a lot about investing in yourself, investing in your own success and your practice, right? So in the beginning, when I was joining to come on, I really just made that decision, just said, I don't want to regret not investing this in myself, not, taking in all of this information and making my efficiencies better. What if in 6 months from now, I'm just like, oh, I wish I would have done this, because now I'd be 6 months ahead and probably have this pipeline and everything. I was like, I just want to get it started and see where it goes. I don't want to have any regrets, right? If I fail, with using this, and I was never meant to be an advisor, but hey, if I do this and do everything I can along the way and make all these investments, put in the time, I'll have no regrets at the end of it. And that's sort of what led me to take the leap. And I would encourage you to do that as well. If you're not sure, if you're thinking about, hey, am I even going to be here, in a year? Am I going to be driving the type of appointments I want to in a year? Just go into it without any regrets, give it a chance and see what it can do for you. Because I definitely am very glad I made the decision to get the coaching, get the help that I needed when I did, because it's really starting to pick up for me, and I'm really happy with it. So that's what I would say.
Yep, and there's still a lot of work to do here. I'm confident that we'll record another one of these, because you'll have some serious some amazing potential down the pipeline, and we're here to kind of mine it as much as possible, and we're always improving on our processes. And so far up until now, you've done some amazing work. So I'm looking forward to your success, your ongoing success, John. Thanks for hopping on with me today, and that should be it.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks.